Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Guys, if you are not able to hear me, just raise your voice. Okay. Yep. So today we are going to discuss about what is DevOps and why Azure DevOps. Basically, our session, entire session, the 45 days or 60-day session, it revolves around Azure DevOps only. So we mainly consider Azure DevOps, and within Azure DevOps, how can we use other DevOps tools like Jenkins, Docker, Terraform, Kubernetes, GitHub, Git, all other tools which are available as part of DevOps. So before jumping into the concept, how many of you know DevOps? So what is DevOps? So I think so. None of you have work experience in DevOps, so because just now we had the intro from everyone. So DevOps is nothing but an effective implementation of Agile. So it's all about SDLC, software development lifecycle. So whenever you get any idea or whenever you get any concept or anything that you want to develop in web perspective or in application perspective, that may be a desktop application, that may be a web application, definitely there is a process. That process and the way of implementation is called SDLC, software development lifecycle. So in previous days, people used to follow waterfall model. It's like one by one. First, I need to do this thing. Once I complete this, then only I need to move to other thing. But later, people started seeing some delay. Why I am doing this activity late? Only for documentation, I am taking 1 month time. But in this 1 month time, there are other people who are in my team. They are sitting idle. They are not doing anything. Then they came up with another process called agile process. So even in Agile also, they started seeing some delay. Okay, this team is not talking to this team and this person is not interacting with this other team. So it's all about implementing the effective way. Implementing the Agile methodology in an effective way is nothing but DevOps. So in DevOps, we are not going to do anything new. We are doing everything the same what we are doing in Agile methodology, or we are doing the same what we are doing from last 10 years or 20 years, whatever we are doing in DevOps, I mean, in software industry. It's just that we are making things fast. We are delivering high quality products in less time. So how we are doing, that's all about DevOps practice. DevOps is not about one tool. DevOps is not about one software. It's all about the process and the way of implementation. Now,
So,
so when
Rajesh,
I say
is there any PPT
no,
for this
I'm
demo?
starting. I'm starting just now.
Okay.
Okay. So let me know if you are seeing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No, Rajesh. No, Rajesh. Now we can see.
Yes, visible.
Yeah. As I said, our entire discussion will be around Azure DevOps only. So what is Azure DevOps, how it started, and what are you going to learn in Azure DevOps? So before going to learn about Azure DevOps, first you need to know what is DevOps. So this is a common definition which is available in the industry. If you search something in the Google or if you go to any other website, there might be different definitions for DevOps, but this is a common definition which is available. It's like DevOps is an IT mindset that encourages communication, collaboration, integration, and automation among software developers and operations guys. DevOps means they all say about it's a bridge between developers and operations. That's why they call it as DevOps. In order to improve the speed and the quality of delivering software. That's what we discussed just before. DevOps is all about delivering a high quality software in less time, in very less in very less period. So this definition is it's not saying anything about the way how you work. It's just saying IT mindset and it's a collaboration between developers and IT operations. But I changed this definition. Okay, I'm removing this definition. This is my own definition. Okay, it's not, I can't say that it's my own, but it's like I got this definition when I'm working in Microsoft. So I used to work in Microsoft. So when I'm working in Microsoft, there they are implementing DevOps in a different way and they have their own definition. I took some points from that definition and I changed something and I added something into this. So my definition is DevOps is a practice where people, so when practice means, as I discussed about waterfall model, agile model, there are many different models available, how you are going to implement the software. So DevOps is a practice. So where people means IT engineers, whatever role he might be working, he might be developer, tester, IT administrator, network engineer, any person. So where people uses different products in the sense the tools, the software stack, whatever you are using. So if you are a developer, you might use Visual Studio for .NET code, you might use Eclipse for Java code. If you are a tester, you might use Selenium, QLoad, Load Runner. If you are an IT engineer, you work with Cisco routers, Avaya routers. It's all about different products and tools. So DevOps is a practice where people uses different products by following specific process. Why I am saying specific process? Because whenever you are using any tool, obviously you will get a user manual. Obviously you will get a instruction manual. No one follows that instruction manual. You guys, I mean, anyone among us, we will open the instruction manual or user manual when we get a problem in that tool. Then only we will go back to the user manual. Okay, I got some issue. If this happens, what I need to do? Are there any instructions in the instruction manual available? So, but before that, before using the tool itself, follow the specific process. Then you might not face any issue while using that tool. So DevOps is a practice where people use different products by following specific process to deliver the project. Why we are doing all these activities? Why we are following specific process? Why we are using different set of tools? And what are our team, our people are doing? How they are implementing? What is the practice they are following? These all are about delivering the project. To whom? To the end users in a quick manner. So if you follow all these things in a right way, obviously you will deliver the quality product. You will deliver the quality product that too in a quick manner. So this is DevOps. DevOps is not about one tool. DevOps is not about one team. DevOps is not about one software. It's all about the entire team. It's about the industry. It's about the organization. When you wanted to follow or when you wanted to use DevOps in your project implementation, it should be a decision taken by the organization, not by the project manager or not by the team member. Okay. When I say DevOps is a practice, so what are all the things involved in this? We are already discussing about DevOps practice. So what comes first in the DevOps practice? Source code. Why? Because the moment you get an idea to create a software, first thing you need to think is, how can I write this source code? By using which language or by using which kind of source code that will be better to develop this application. You might have got an idea for commercial website where you are going to host it, whether in iOS or Android. Based on that platform only, you need to start writing the source code. So first you need to choose a source code. And then when you started writing source code, guys, someone maybe by mistake asking me the control. Okay. Yeah. So when you started writing source code, obviously you need to maintain their versions. Why? Because today you might be writing something, tomorrow you may forget, and after tomorrow you start writing something. So you to compare what I have left, where I left this coding, you should have proper versioning. So these are the different kinds of source code languages available and version controls that are available. So you may be writing your source code in .NET, Java, PHP, or any JavaScript language, scripting language, and you can maintain your versions in GitHub or TFVC, Team Foundation Version Control, Subversion, and Bitbucket. These are like source code management systems. The top one is source code, the language or the code, whatever you are writing. The below one is version control system, source code management systems, where you are going to have these versions and how you are going to manage. Once the source code is ready, what is the next thing that you want to do? You need to build the source code. Until and unless you build the source code, the code is nothing but a collection of English alphabets or a series of English sentences. See, if I say print hello world, if I write this print hello world in a notepad, it won't do anything. But if I save the notepad as a print.py, py is an extension for Python code. If I save the notepad as a print.py and execute that notepad file, it will print hello world on the command window. So that is simple example for building source code. Print hello world is a sorry. Print hello world is a simple instruction or simple line until you save the file in a different format. Then it will become an executable file or a programming language file. That's why whenever you write a source code, to make it executable or to make it run, you need to build the source code. How can you build the source code? There are many tools available in the market. So you can use Azure DevOps, you can use Jenkins, you can use GitLab, you can use Bamboo. These all are like continuous integration tools. Whenever a developer writes a source code, whenever a developer writes any part of the code in your repository management, you need to build it immediately so that you can compare whatever code already there with you, and the new code is not giving any trouble to the existing code. Then only you are allowed to build or release that code into the production systems. Once you verified the build and the build looks good, what you need to do? You need to release it. So where are you going to release it? I'm going to release into my environments. Okay, so what is your environments and where are those environments? Those environments provided by my company or some cloud provider or any third party vendor. So the environments can be dev environment, test environment, pre-prod or staging. Some organizations they call it as pre-prod and some they call it as staging environment, and then finally into production environment. The providers. So if you are going to deploy into your local data center or your own missions, that will be called as on-premise. If you are going to deploy or release this into cloud, then that will be cloud providers. So the top 3 cloud providers at present in the market is Azure from Microsoft, AWS from Amazon, GCP, Google Cloud Platform from Google organization. How you are going to release, how you are going to get the infrastructure on these cloud environments? By using these different tools, Terraform, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes. So the above one is completely about CI, how you are going to integrate, continuously integrate the code. And the above one is how you are going to deploy, continuous delivery or continuous deployment, CI CD. So DevOps is all about CI CD. Everybody will say DevOps is only about CI CD. No, DevOps is not only about CI CD. DevOps starts from day one. The moment you start off developing an application, so how you are going to write the source code, where you are going to save the source code, what are all the version controls you are going to use, these all things will be defined and developed and even implemented by a DevOps engineer only. If you want to save your source code in GitHub, first you need to have a project in GitHub. Then within the project, you need to create a repository. So you don't know how to create this repository. You don't know how to create a branch in the GitHub. A DevOps engineer will know everything. He will help you to create the project, repository, and even to apply some branch policies, saying that only these people will be able to edit the code in this repository. Other people will not be able to edit the code. The access management, the permissions management, everything will be managed by DevOps engineer. Okay. You got to know what is DevOps. So to become a DevOps, okay, to be a DevOps engineer, you should know at least the basics of these below concepts. It's not like that you should be expert in everything, but at least you should know the basics. So first thing is SDLC. We already discussed. SDLC means the way how you are going to develop or create any application or any software. SDLC. Then source code management. The moment you started creating software, obviously you will write the source code. So how you are going to manage and how you are going to have the version control. Then the moment you decided, okay, my application is ready, everything looks good. Where are you going to deploy? Our cloud. So if you are going to deploy in cloud, you should have some idea on cloud computing. So if you are going to deploy in cloud, how you are going to create the infrastructure? So that is called infrastructure configuration management. And that is called as infrastructure as code, IAC, infrastructure as code. So once everything is ready, the next work is it's a continuous process. So daily a developer writes the code. You will be integrating the code into the main repository. That is continuous integration. Once the CI build looks good, you are good to deploy into different environments. That is continuous deployment, CI CD. Once you deployed the code, you need to monitor. So even before deployment, what we perform? We perform some testing. There will be a testing team. So before deployment, after the build, they will test the code. They will test the performance of the code. So how this has to run? Are all the functionalities are working as expected? Whatever we discussed in the design phase, are all those features, are all those functionalities are appearing in the final delivery? So you will do continuous testing. Once the testing is done, they will deliver it to the main production environment, whatever environment you want to deliver. Whether you can deliver it to the direct client base or you will deliver it to the preview board, however you want. So this is like presentation, how you want to be a DevOps engineer. So a DevOps engineer might work in Windows environment or Linux environment. He might work with different programming languages like Python, Java, Shell, Bash. He will do these CI/CD activities in different cloud providers like AWS, Azure DevOps. Then the infrastructure, he might be using Kubernetes, Docker, anything. Okay, these are all things. So as a DevOps engineer, it's not like that you should know everything in detail. At least you should know the basics. When someone say, what is container? You should tell them, okay, container is this one. This is how container works. This is the purpose of container. Then someone say, I have a Python code. I want to deploy into AWS environment. Can you help me? Yes, I can help you. I know how to build Python. I know how to deploy into AWS environment. So you need to tell them these are all the things I know. So if you want to get work from me, so you need to arrange these things for me. So what are all the things that a DevOps engineer will use? These are the many tools that are available in the market for a DevOps engineer. You just name a tool. I will tell you where it is. Ansible, Azure, okay, Selenium, GitHub, Docker, Kubernetes. Even Microsoft Teams comes under planning, collaborating activity. The thing which you are connected in Teams now, it also comes under DevOps tool. Why? Because that is used for team collaboration. That is used for team plan. How you want to implement this application? What are all the teams you have? How you want to communicate your plan or your work item tracking, everything. So this is called DevOps Infinity. So there is a definition also for this. So DevOps Infinity, where you can see the phases of DevOps activity. So first what we do? We do planning. Once the plan is run, we start writing code. Then once the code is ready, we will build it. So the build is nothing but continuous integration. You can see here, this is continuous integration. So once the continuous integration looks good, then what we do, we will deploy the code. So for every activity, for every section, we have different tool set defined. If you want to plan, you can use Teams, Google Docs, Smartsheet, Dropbox, Draw.io. These are different tools. Then for build, you can use GitLab, Docker, Kubernetes, Visual Studio Team Foundation Server. Okay, then continuous integration. This happens with CI, Travis CI, Jenkins, Circle CI, Shippable, TeamCity. These all are CI tools. Then deploy. So you are decided to deploy where you are going to deploy. Whether you are deploying into Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure, how you are going to deploy using Ansible, Puppet, Chef. Then deploy is done. Next, what you want to do? You want to operate. You want to monitor how this is running. So Splunk is a monitoring system, Datadog, Dynatrace, App Dynamics. So everything is done, but during monitoring, you got some issues. So how can you inform those issues? You will use a ticketing system for continuous feedback. To raise a ticket or to raise an alert, we will use ServiceNow, Runnable, BrowseStack. You have the tools here. See ServiceNow, Runnable, BrowseStack, Salesforce, Freshdesk. These all are like ticketing systems. How you want to inform there is an issue. How can I inform this to the other people? You can inform by just raising a ticket. When we have these many tools, we have a lot of DevOps tools in the market. Then why Azure DevOps? Because Azure DevOps is a software as a service tool from Microsoft. When it comes to IT, every person, if you are an IT engineer, you definitely know about Windows. Who is the creator of Windows? Microsoft. So that itself says, why should I choose Azure DevOps? Because Azure DevOps is from Microsoft. Microsoft creates tools in such a way, even an unknown person. See, Windows can be used by non-IT guys also. In the same way, Azure DevOps was designed in such a way that even a tester or an IT engineer or an administrator can understand how this Azure DevOps works. The UI also is very easy to understand, easy to navigate. Okay, so Azure DevOps is software as a service. So this is SaaS service. What is SaaS? I will explain you later. Okay. Software as a service, which means you don't need to install. It is readily available on the web. You just go and log in, create your account or subscribe that account and you are good to use it. You no need to download or you no need to install. That's called software as a service. So we will see in detail when you are discussing about cloud concepts. Software as a service tool from Microsoft that provides what are all the things that it will provide. It provides version control, reporting, requirements management, project management, automated builds, testing, release management. These are all capabilities it will provide for you. If you remember, if I see my previous picture, what is DevOps Infinity says? It says to plan, build, continuous integration, continuous deployment, operate, even collect feedback. Those all things can be achieved by using this single tool from Microsoft. That is nothing but Azure DevOps. So it covers the entire application lifecycle and enables DevOps capabilities. Okay, so some major benefits why we need to use Azure DevOps. It's an ALM solution for small, medium and large enterprises. ALM means application lifecycle management. So your application, when it started, how it got built, how it is going to be delivered, who will monitor this? If some issue comes, who fixes this issue? These all things comes under ALM, application lifecycle management. SDLC is different, guys. ALM is different. SDLC means software development lifecycle, which will give you the entire process, how you want to develop and how you want to deliver. But SDLC will not talk about monitoring. SDLC will not talk about operations, whereas ALM will explain you everything. So how you want to develop, how you want to deliver, even after delivery, how you are going to monitor and how you are going to give service to the end user. So Azure DevOps is a ALM solution, application lifecycle management solution for small, medium and large enterprises. Your organization may have 10 employees, 1000 employees or 10,000 employees. It is suitable for every enterprise. And it's like both B2B and B2C product. B2B and B2C means business to business, business to customer. So business to business means a company can go and ask Microsoft for Azure DevOps, or a person can go and ask Microsoft for Azure DevOps. So if you are working in Wipro or HCL or any other organization, your organization can go and ask Microsoft, I want to use Azure DevOps and I have 1 lakh users. Then Microsoft will say, yeah, you can use it. For that, you need to take these many licenses and you need to purchase these many subscriptions. Or else one person can go to Microsoft, I want to use Azure DevOps. Yes, as you are a single person, this is the charge for you. And these are all the things you will get it from Azure DevOps. It's two-way product. Either you can buy it for your company or you can buy it for your own service. It's like code on cloud with full control. When I say Azure DevOps, DevOps itself is all about source code management, building source code, delivering source code. That means you are going to write your code in a cloud platform. Cloud is nothing but it's a different location. It's not in your computer. It is in remote computer. Those computers are in data center, and the data center is not in your city or not in your country. The code, whatever you are writing, that might reside in a data center which is in US, but you are working from India. So even though your code is on the cloud, but you have full control. You can control who is seeing my code, who are accessing my code, who can log in into my account, who can see my code. You will have full control with Azure DevOps. And in Azure DevOps, it covers the major phases of SDLC. You can document, you can develop, you can deploy, and you can deliver. So when you are creating some application, obviously you will do some documentation. So you can do within Azure DevOps. You can develop. Develop is nothing but writing code. You can write your code within Azure DevOps platform. Then you can deploy into different environments and you can deliver it to the end users. So finally, it covers the 5 P's. If you remember my first definition, DevOps is a practice where people uses different products by following specific process to deliver the project. So here, so Azure DevOps has first practice. So if you create any project in Azure DevOps, you can choose the practice, either Agile or Scrum or any different model. And the people, your entire organization will be joined as a teams in Azure DevOps. And you can give specific access to different teams. Okay, This person is from development team. So this has access to source code. This person is from IT admin. So this person no need to have access to the source code. This person might have access to the release management or build management. Then products. So repos are used for source code, pipelines are used for build and release activities. Then process. Obviously, when you are using these many things, you need to define a process, how you need to use, what you need to do. Those processes can be defined by using wiki. So there is a service called wiki in Azure DevOps where you can write documents and those documents can define the process how you are going to implement this project. Finally, the project. By doing all this, what you are going to do, you are going to deliver the project. So any person that are working in IT definitely will be working in a project. So even though you are a tester, developer or IT admin network engineer, definitely everybody will ask you what is your project or in which project you are working. So our final motto is we need to deliver a project to the end client. That project can be a product or it can be a service. So as we know, we have got some understanding what is Azure DevOps. So now Azure DevOps was majorly divided into 5 services. So even though Azure DevOps is a tool, but it gives you 5 major services. Those are called as Azure boards, Azure repos, Azure pipelines, Azure test plan, Azure artifacts. You might get one doubt. Why the name itself says Azure DevOps and all these services are called as Azure, 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 Azure. Why there is Azure on everywhere? Because in the previous definition we have seen Azure DevOps is software as a service. Okay, software as a service from Microsoft. When I say software as a service, which means it's a readily available tool. So Microsoft, where they kept this tool readily available, they kept it inside Azure. That's why whatever you are doing within Azure DevOps, they have attached Azure word to every service. So if you are using boards, those boards are nothing, they are hosted on Azure. That's why they are calling it as Azure boards and Azure repos, pipelines, test plans, artifacts. So just by reading the below definition, you will understand what is the service is for. So boards is for work planning and tracking. Repos is for code management. So collaborate and build better code. Pipelines is for implementing CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. Test plans to run your testing strategy in manual and automated way. Then artifacts, package management. When you are building any source code, obviously there will be some dependencies. Those dependencies you can manage in these artifacts. Those are all called as packages in IT development terminology. Okay. So we have seen what is Azure DevOps Infinity. Within this Infinity, we have seen many tools. You remember diagram. So within this Infinity, for each category, for each section, there are many tools available. But if you choose to use Azure DevOps, you can cover everything in one tool. So if you wanted to plan something, this is the planning activity, right? Where you can plan in Azure boards, you can plan. If you want to write some source code, you can write the source code in Azure repos. If you want to build or deploy, okay, if you want to build or release or deploy, you can use build pipelines, release pipelines. In Azure pipelines, there are two kinds of pipelines. One is build pipeline, one is release pipeline. Then if you want to test something, for suppose there is a build running, the build succeeded, but before releasing it, I want to test something. You can use Azure test plans. Okay, building is done, testing is done. Now I'm ready to deploy. Where I can deploy? You can deploy into Azure cloud or you can deploy into your on-premise servers. Now I deployed in Azure also. After that, what is my work? You need to monitor its performance. Why? Because when you monitor only, you will come to know if there are any issues, if the customer facing any problem. So now Microsoft has everything for DevOps practice and all of them are integrated with Azure DevOps. So this is the reason why I prefer Azure DevOps. And Azure DevOps is not a single tool. You can collaborate Azure DevOps with any other DevOps tool. You just name a tool. I will tell you how can I use Azure DevOps with that tool. If you want to use Jenkins, you can use. If you want to use Docker, Terraform, GitHub, Kubernetes or Bitbucket or any other tool, you can integrate with Azure DevOps. if I go for why I am saying Azure DevOps. So if I go for azure.com, just a second. So this is like Microsoft's Azure platform. We are talking about a DevOps tool and they named it as Azure DevOps. Why? Because they have developed a DevOps tool and they hosted it within Azure. That's why it's called as Azure DevOps. So now I'm into Azure family. And if I go into products, under products, in DevOps category, see there is a DevOps category. These all are Azure services. Under DevOps category, the first thing you will see is Azure DevOps. So this is a DevOps tool which is built and hosted on Azure platform. That's the reason they named it as Azure DevOps. So in Azure DevOps, you can go for complete Azure DevOps package or you can go for specific services. You can go for only pipelines, you can go for only boards, repos, artifacts, test plans, labs, anything. And we have DevOps tool integrations. So use your favorite DevOps tool with Azure. Bring any tool. It may be Jenkins, GitHub, Terraform, Docker. Bring any tool. I will help you to integrate with Azure DevOps. Going to this Azure DevOps category, here is your starting point. What you can do, you need to create an account. So if you have an account, you can sign in directly. If you don't have an account, you can start for free. If you are already a member of GitHub family, GitHub is an open source platform where people start writing code, sharing their ideas, everything. If you're already a member of GitHub family, you can start with your GitHub account. Even if you don't have GitHub account, you can use your any account. It may be Gmail account, Yahoo account or Outlook account, any account. You can start free. So if I go for start free, it might log in into my account directly because I already logged into my account.
Hello.
Sorry.
Yeah, your screen is not visible. Your web browser.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. Let me share again. Okay, you guys are still seeing the PPT only, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think I have explained everything, but just I will navigate you what I'm talking about. Let me know once you see my screen. Can you see my screen?
No.
Not yet, Rajesh.
No.
Now?
Yes, able to see.
Yes.
Yeah. So I already explained. So why this came as Azure DevOps? Because so Microsoft has developed a DevOps tool or DevOps practice or DevOps platform to use in your DevOps implementations, but they kept it inside Azure. So that's the reason they call it as Azure DevOps. So how can you reach there? So go to azure.com. So it's azure.microsoft.com. Under products, these all are categories. Under DevOps category, you will see this Azure DevOps. You can use separate services because Azure DevOps was divided into 5 major services. If you want to use only one service, you can choose one service, or if you want to choose entire package, you can choose Azure DevOps. So if I go for Azure DevOps, here you will see the DevOps page. Either you can sign in if you already have Azure DevOps account, or if you don't have account, you can go for start with your own account. You can start with your GitHub account if you have already the GitHub account, or if you have any mail account that can be Outlook, Gmail, or any account, you can start for free. So if you don't have account and you are starting with just now, I prefer everybody of you go for a Microsoft account. Either you can create a Microsoft account for outlook.com or hotmail.com or any other Microsoft account. No, I want to go with Gmail also. You can go with Gmail also, not an issue. But I prefer to go with Microsoft account. So as I have already account, I can go for directly signing into Azure DevOps. So I'm going into Azure DevOps. It will take me to my Azure DevOps account. So this is my Azure DevOps account. See, I have not installed anything. I have not done anything in my PC. I just went into a browser. I logged into this. So now I am using Azure DevOps. This is my Azure DevOps. So that's why this is called as software as a service. This is a software, but you are not going to install, you are not going to manage, or you are not going to maintain. Everything is readily available. You just need to go there, create your first project, new project, and start using their services. So the moment you create any project, every project will come with the 5 major services. The services which we discussed here. You see here, these are the 5 services we discussed, right? Boards, repos, pipelines, test plans. Please give a look on these logos. These are the logos that you are going to see everywhere in the portal. See, this is my project, demo project. If you see the logos, so just by seeing the logos, you will understand this is boards, this is repos, this is pipelines, this is test plans, and this is artifacts. On every project, see, if I go for this project also, you will see those 5 services. These are not only just icons, they are like shortcuts. So if I click on this repos button, it will directly take me to the repos page of that project. There are many projects in my Azure DevOps, but if I click on this icon, if I click on this button, it will directly take me to that. See, this is my Azure DevOps account, and I am into demo project, and I am into repos category. In repos, there are some files, and those files are into this repository. So this is my repository. As I shown you, these are not only just icons, they are directly shortcuts to those pages. Okay, within this Azure DevOps, we can integrate everything: Docker, Terraform, Jenkins, whatnot, whatever DevOps tool you want to use, you can use. Okay, this is all about Azure DevOps, guys. So if you want to start with Azure DevOps, the first thing you need to do is go into azure.microsoft.com, go to DevOps category, and start creating your own account. I prefer to create your account. Better use Microsoft account, either outlook.com or hotmail.com. Those accounts are better. Or you can start with Gmail also. Why I prefer Microsoft account? Because these all are interrelated. So there is an AD connectivity, Active Directory connectivity. So if you use your Microsoft account, then it's easy for you. If you remember, I just clicked on sign in. I have not given my username and password. It directly took me to that Azure DevOps page. Why? Because my account is an outlook.com account. So whenever I try to log in, it can remember my credentials if those are from Microsoft AD. Okay, so AD is again Active Directory. It's a separate concept in IT industry. So we don't want to spend more time on that. Anyway, when you are discussing about Azure DevOps, we will touch that AAD, Azure Active Directory. Okay, what is Azure Directory and how it is used in Azure DevOps? We will explain there in that session. So apart from this Azure DevOps, we will have sessions on how to use GitHub, how to use Jenkins. So what is Docker, what is Terraform? How can we implement Docker and Terraform within Azure DevOps? How we can have repository management in GitHub portal, Bitbucket portal? How can you run builds in Jenkins? If there is a build running in Jenkins, how can you deploy it in Azure DevOps? How can I deploy a container into Docker? How can I deploy a container as into a pod in Kubernetes cluster? You will see all this with examples, with the demos, with explanations. Okay. I'm done, guys, and open for questions.
So, Rajesh, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any programming language knowledge required in this Azure DevOps?
Programming language is not required, but scripting language is, it's not mandatory, but it's better to have either PowerShell or shell scripting or Python.
Okay, so like we will learn in Terraform. So it will be via what's the tool and
See, Terraform is HCL, HashiCorp configuration language. That is a different language.
okay. So
It doesn't come
I
under
will.
programming language. It's like infrastructure as code.
Right. Like we create virtual machine storage account. Like
Right,
that,
right.
na?
It's not
So
programming language.
okay. So what will be the role after learning this, or will be different role in this Azure
See,
DevOps profile? Like
nowadays in IT industry, there are many roles like developer, operations engineer, tester, IT engineer, administrator, network engineer, right?
right.
Going forward down the line, next to 5 years or 10 years, there will be only one role in IT industry. That is DevOps engineer. So you will become a DevOps engineer and your organization will take work from you in whatever manner they want. Either they will ask you to manage the infrastructure, either they will ask you to create a build and pipeline, either they might ask you to write some code also, but not pressurize you, but they will give you some time. Hey man, today developer is not on duty. So there is some issue with the Java code or .NET code or some other code. Can you help us? So in future, down the line, next 5 years or 10 years, there will be one major role. First, you will become a DevOps engineer. Then you will become a specific engineer, either test engineer, operations engineer, or admin engineer, any engineer. Overall, everyone will become a DevOps engineer. There will be only two roles, either developer or DevOps.
And right now, at present scenario.
See, now we are in transformation.
Okay.
No, see, DevOps is, it's not like for one project you can implement DevOps. DevOps is a organization level decision. That's what we discussed in the starting. So if you
It's
want,
like end-to-end delivery of a project.
right. So when you wanted to perform DevOps activities in your project, the decision should be taken by the organization. Now, majority of the organization are moving towards DevOps.
Yes.
So even within the organization also, they are asking people to turn into DevOps engineer.
Okay, like in Azure administration. Okay, so we are managing infrastructure level work. Okay.
How you are creating infrastructure? Some manual process, right? ARM
Man,
templates.
right. Manual ARM PowerShell.
Right. So in future, if they want to deploy those ARM templates using pipelines,
Okay.
obviously you need to
Okay.
know some DevOps tool. ARM
Okay.
templates can be
So
deployed even by using Jenkins also, but
yeah.
Microsoft prefer to use Azure DevOps. And even
Okay.
ARM templates are going away. Bicep coming, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you should be upgraded. Bicep will be, if you want to deploy something using Bicep, there will be simple template. ARM template is little like lengthy JSON format. Bicep is
Yeah.
not JSON. It's like declarative language.
Right.
Yeah. You will understand, Sumit. Going forward into the deep into the sessions, you will learn.
Yes.
Okay. There are many benefits if I become a DevOps engineer. You will understand.
Okay.
Yeah,
So any
Rajesh, one more question I have.
yeah.
Yeah. So can you deploy these Azure DevOps services into our own VM? Is it possible, or is there a way?
See, you are talking about Azure DevOps on-premise version, which is called as Azure DevOps Server.
Yes.
So you
Is
need
there,
to
right?
install. Yeah, it's there. You need to install on your own. You need to manage on your. That's called as Azure DevOps Server. That's a different version. So when I'm talking
Okay.
about Azure DevOps history, there will be a session, separate session on this. How Azure DevOps came into the existence, when it started, and what is the flashback and future of Azure DevOps.
Okay.
So there will be a separate session on this.
Okay. So how are the openings currently? So on Azure DevOps?
In India, they are just increasing now, but in US, everything is Azure.
Okay.
If you have friends, you can ask them. Slowly, entire industry moving from AWS to Azure.
Okay.
And when they started using Azure Cloud, obviously they will look for Azure DevOps engineer. Why? Because Azure DevOps engineer can make things faster if you are moving to Azure Cloud.
Okay.
And one more thing, Azure DevOps is not only for Azure Cloud. You can integrate with any other cloud. People have some this wrong assumption. Azure DevOps is only for Azure.
So you mean that we can integrate the outside open source tools like Jenkins or Circle CI like that?
Yeah, any tool. Jenkins, Terraform, Docker, Circle CI, Team CI, GitLab, anything.
Okay. You can use it.
Yeah.
What is that name? Like you are saying Azure DevOps. Normally, if it is on a cloud, you call it as a cloud platform. But why you are saying it says that Azure DevOps in the sense? I didn't mean what is that meaning there.
Okay.
If there is a code, so it is deployed on some servers. If there is an automation like a code on a GitHub, you
No,
have
okay. You have seen my Azure DevOps account, right?
yeah,
So there are many projects.
right.
Can you tell me where are those projects? Can you guide me? Can you tell me on which server these projects are deployed? You can't tell, right?
So I had some storage on Azure.
Yeah. So that's why this is a DevOps tool which is directly hosted on Azure. That's why they are calling it Azure DevOps. This is a DevOps tool. Frankly, to say this is a DevOps tool.
Okay.
Like how we have Jenkins and other GitLab, Git CI tools. This is also a DevOps tool, but this is directly dependent on Azure. If tomorrow Microsoft says that I am shutting down Azure, indirectly Azure DevOps also shut down. If there is no Azure, then there is no Azure DevOps.
But why you are calling DevOps as a tool? DevOps is an automation process, right? Because it's got my point, right? DevOps
Yeah. So to implement your DevOps process, Microsoft came up with a tool called Azure DevOps.
You mean like, see, if Jenkins, whatever the code you write in Jenkins, it will talk to the it will talk to those servers where you are deploying the code. Okay.
Right.
The
Azure DevOps
process
also
of
will
deploying
do.
instead of deploying manually, the process of automation is called a DevOps process
Right.
between developer and like the build and deploy. Both you call it as a DevOps process. So the tool you name it as either it could be a Jenkins or whatever tool you call it as an automation tool. But
Here also, Azure DevOps is a tool where you can see in Jenkins, can you write code?
in Jenkins, you have a plugin to pull from some code repository from GitHub repository or
But
some.
here in Azure DevOps, within Azure DevOps, you can write code. You no need to connect to any other third-party code repository.
Oh, so it's like a source code repository.
Yeah, you have source code repository. You can build it here and you can deploy from here to any server or any cloud platform.
It's like a Visual Studio. You can write the code there and you can build it and you can deploy it. So
I don't know, your name is showing as possibility. You got the right point. Azure DevOps is nothing but online version of Visual Studio. Simply to say.
okay.
Even Microsoft, when you are talking about Azure DevOps history, you will come to know the first name of Azure DevOps is Visual Studio Online. In 2013, they released this tool as a Visual Studio Online. Then it got renamed into VSTS, then it renamed to Azure DevOps. There's a lot of history. There is almost 10-12 years history for Azure DevOps.
Okay.
It's not like new tool, it came today. It was there in the market from last.
Okay, when you compare from AWS to Azure, why are we pretty much sure that Azure is going to acquire in a future point of time, like compared to the AWS?
Okay, so I will give you one simple example. In AWS, you wanted to create a Windows 2016 virtual machine. Okay, so
yeah,
will AWS develop its own Windows?
No, it will. It can't.
So AWS has to purchase some license from where?
Azure, Microsoft.
From Microsoft. So
yeah.
this is the reason US people, US organizations, they started moving towards Microsoft. See, I'm going to AWS and I'm asking for 100 servers. And all those servers, I want Windows 2019 OS. So when I asking AWS saying that, sir, wait, sir, we are asking Microsoft for the latest software. We are waiting for them to deliver. Then people started thinking, see, you are also going to Microsoft and you are also purchasing or getting license. Why should I go directly to Microsoft? So people started going towards Microsoft.
There are a lot of other factors like the availability, service, and
This is one of the major reason. The other thing is, as you said, availability. Yes, comparing with AWS and Microsoft, Microsoft has more data centers. They are investing more in expanding their network.
okay.
Yeah. See, AWS is leave out AWS. Amazon is not a technical organization. It's not an IT industry. Amazon is a commercial marketing company, but Microsoft is a pure technical IT company. So when you want to get IT services, you can get reliable service.
Microsoft is famous on Windows, but if you see a lot of technologies, they are moving towards Linux and Unix flavors, right? So where we pertaining only because if you see any, as you said, Docker, Kubernetes, or
If someone is waiting for asking some question, let us give some chance to them. I
Yeah,
can
mate.
discuss with
Yeah,
you.
please. Yeah, because if we keep discussing Microsoft,
Right.
Azure
It's not
versus
like
AWS, if
yeah,
you
it's
want to
not
do
like Azure
Azure,
versus
you do
Sorry,
Azure.
AWS.
If you want to
got
do
it. No problem.
AWS, do AWS.
Because sorry to stop you. My only thing is I'm trying to get into AWS, but if you say this, that puzzles me. That's why I asked the question.
But
Got it.
See,
this is
AWS is different. Azure
AWS.
DevOps is different.
I agree.
Azure DevOps is a DevOps tool. AWS is a cloud platform. There is a lot of difference between these two.
No, I
So,
got it. I got it.
Rajesh,
Yeah.
sorry
Hi,
to,
Manoj.
can you please quickly go through the basic things about this class and the course, like the schedule, what timings, and the length of the course, and all these kind of stuff, please.
See, whatever things you are asking, everything can be communicated by Shiva. Shiva has all the answer for it. If you have any technical question, you can ask me.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rajesh, I have a quick question for you.
Yes, Abhi.
Yeah, as I stated, my experience mostly lies in the business intelligence and the reporting layers. So I'm not sure how relevant it would be to take it further.
So the
So
basic qualification to join my sessions is you should be in IT industry, irrespective of your role.
okay, no, how
It's more
relevant?
than enough.
Yeah.
It's more than enough if you are in IT industry. I give you a word that I can turn you into DevOps engineer.
Okay, so what is the course tenure? Like how many hours?
Again, you can go to Shiva. So Shiva will answer everything.
Okay, fine.
Shiva this side.
Yes,
Here, I pinged my contact number in the chat. Okay. So if you miss my number, you can ping me in the WhatsApp. So we'll have a discussion after the session.
Sure.
So technical, see, if you have any technical question, you can ask me now. If you want to about know duration, how the session goes, what is the course content, everything is available with Shiva.
Okay, that's fine. Like my question was basically on the same line. Since I am a developer at the business intelligence side, so will it be relevant to take up it? So that was my question.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for that, Rajesh, for your time. Yeah.
Yep. Done, guys.
Hello, Rajesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, as you are saying that Azure DevOps is a tool, so any other use like Jenkins, Kubernetes. So each we need to.
Viral, we missed something in between.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you said that Azure DevOps is a tool. So if we use any other DevOps tool like GitHub, Jenkins, or Kubernetes, so each we need to integrate with Azure DevOps or how it works.
We can integrate with Azure DevOps. It's not like that you need to leave them.
So basically, Kubernetes or only Terraform. So basically, without Azure DevOps, also we can work, right? What is the need to use the Azure DevOps? That I just wanted to ask.
See, as I shown you, if you want to do code, I mean, if you want to manage source code, if you want to build or if you want to deploy, there are different tools that you need to use. But this is a kind of package. You can do everything in one tool itself, one platform itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, if we don't use Azure DevOps, still we can do all other tasks, right? We can use Kubernetes and Terraform and all.
Yeah.
We can use it individually.
Yes. You need to learn different tools.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And in Azure DevOps, there is a plugin to integrate with Kubernetes and all. How it?
Yes. There is a plugin. There is an extension. So in Jenkins, you call it as plugins, but in Azure DevOps, we call them as extensions.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Next. Any other thing, guys?
Hello, Rajesh.
Are we good?
Yeah. Actually, I have a query that I am from a non-IT background, so it will be better. Can I move to Azure DevOps?
Non-IT in the sense you are not even into IT.
No, I am not into an IT.
Your education?
I'm a BTech and then MBA.
Okay. Yeah, still you have chance, but you need to put more effort comparing with other guys.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Done, guys. Anything you can contact Shiva for any questions.
Yeah, Rajesh, I have one small question for you. So I believe it will be the last question from our side. Hello.
Yes, Arjun.
Yes. So, I was listening to like the guys what they were telling. So even I have like one small doubt related to that. So just wanted to know, like, is it? I think I might be wrong also. I think it's not entirely into administration. Like it's altogether a different platform, right?
Yes. See, Azure DevOps is not at all about administration.
Okay.
It's all about bringing automation into your project implementation.
Okay. So this question was raised by others also. Like we don't need any expertise apart from knowing some basics of .NET, Java. Like how much do we need to have like hands-on into those things? Because like I know that like it is a bit tough to learn like .NET and Java at this point of time.
Coding is not at all required. Coding is different. Okay. Scripting is different. Okay. You need scripting, not coding.
Okay. So and related to this Kubernetes and Jenkins and also those are like kind of tool, right? So like how those will be incorporating actually in this.
I will tell you in sessions. So there are some methods, some process. So why we are integrating? Because if you are already using any DevOps tool, you don't need to leave it. You just bring it to Azure DevOps. I can give the same feature or same functionality how you are getting in those tools.
Okay. Basically, like any tool that we are using, that will be incorporated into DevOps.
Right. Okay.
Fine.
Rajesh, will we also build any type of migrations here? Azure migrations like that?
No.
Okay.
And how many days course will be? It will be 2 months, right?
Right.
Sorry, Rajesh. Are you going to do some basic, like, these scripting things as well?
No, yeah. As part of our demos, we will be seeing how to write PowerShell script or Bash script, those kind of activities.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Rajesh, one last thing. Like, if you could share us like the content, what will be like covered, so that it will give us a little bit clear picture.
Guys, final message from my side. See, check the chat.
Shiva, I'm dropping. You just talk to these guys about the content and duration, okay?
Sure, Rajesh. Thank you. Bye. Guys, hold on. 2 minutes.
Yeah, please. Like it will be really helpful. Like if you know like what
guys,
content, so we'll understand like how it will be progressing and all those things.
Definitely. See the chart. Like I shared my number already. So it's my WhatsApp number. Okay. And again here I'm telling you one more thing. So please be in touch with in the WhatsApp. I'll share the course content. And apart from that, regular sessions. We are starting from tomorrow only at same time and with same link. Okay. Any questions? Guys.